Good afternoon, friends. So, for the lesson, the letter A is concerned, we have discussed the summary of the lesson in the previous lecture. We also came to know a little bit about Christy Brown. We understand that he is involved in some sort of neuromuscular disorder. Today, let us try to understand the theme of the lesson, which is a very important and essential issue. Okay, friends, you can see on the screen the lesson is based on the theme that nothing is impossible in the world. If you have determination, if you have faith and support from your loved ones, especially from the mother. Now, in the entire lesson, we came to know that mother's love is a love that is everlasting, that doesn't have any parallel or substitute in the entire world. No love can match, no love can, have parallel with mother's love. And in the lesson, we come to understand that it is mother who has taken the entire affairs in her own hands. And that's why she is determined to, to cure Christy Brown. And that's why the theme is basically nothing is impossible in the world. Nothing is impossible in the world if you have determination, if you have faith, and you have support from your loved ones. Christy Brown was born as a mentally unfit and physically deformed child, and all clinics and doctors declared him a hopeless case beyond any cure. Christy Brown, as you know, was born a mentally unfit, and mother came to know at the age of 4 months when he witnessed certain, those things which declared that Christy Brown is basically mentally and physically crippled. At the age of 4, you remember, his hands are clenched and lowered backwards. And at the same time, another problem that she came to know that her jaws doesn't work properly. Either they fail to get the teeth of the bottle, either they get locked or they become very loose. That's why Christy Brown was born as mentally unfit and physically deformed child. And all clinics and doctors. Now try to understand very important thing that what was the doctor's opinion? Doctors declared Christy Brown a hopeless case beyond any cure. That means, they simply say only one thing that this is a very bizarre type of case, but at the same time, it is beyond any cure. His mother was advised that the child should be taken gently, sympathetically, but not seriously. Now, this was advice from both the doctors as well as from the relative side and from the friend side, that the child should be taken gently. You should have a sympathetic opinion about the child, but don't take the child seriously. Though Christie's mother had not even an iota of evidence to support her view, she wants to, tell the entire world that her child is basically physically crippled, but if you talk of his mind, that works properly. He is not considered to be an imbecile. That much she did not agree with the doctors and their relatives. Her point of view is quite contrary to what the doctors understand and what the relatives' view was. That the doctors say that the child is physically as well as mentally crippled. But the mother's opinion was that the child is physically crippled but mentally sound. She treated him at par with the other children, and in the long run, her faith and his own willpower proved doctors and relatives wrong. That's what is called the determination, what is called the willpower. Now, her willpower, because of that willpower, what she did, she treated him at par with other children of the family. And in the long run, her faith and his own willpower proved doctors and relatives wrong. He was able to write and learn to speak with the world, with his written words. Now, at the last of the lesson, we came to understand that he is able to write and learn to speak with the world, with his written words. And obviously, if you talk of written words, what are they? They had lasting impression than what is called as spoken words. They have more weight than what is called as spoken words, because spoken words remain in your memory for some time, and if you talk of written words, that remain for a very very long time. That's why, again, see this particular sentence, he was able to write and learn to speak with the world, with his written words, which are long lasting than spoken words. He did this miracle under the care of determined and a loving mother, and you know it, right? And in the lesson we come to understand, mother insisted the child, and she is a determined lady, she has a lot of patience, and because of all these qualities, what happened, the child was able to write the letter A. That's why this is called the miracle. When he at the last, he wrote the letter A on the slate with the yellow piece of chalk, and because of that, that particular thing is considered a miracle. He did this miracle under the care of determined and a loving mother. The sketch underlines the fact that need to decide our response to an option that we take up in our life between the stimulus and response. Now, this is interesting. From one side, when you stimulate somebody, you have a little bit response from the another side. If you didn't have response at that time, you can understand that something wrong is going to happen. That something that is beyond cure is going to happen. Between the stimulus and the response, we can be overreactive to destroy a life, or proactive to rekindle new inspiration, as is evident in the story, right? And we got some sort of new inspiration, and when the child was able to write the letter A. We need to love our work to be successful instead of performing it as our duty. Love leads to passion and moves the world positively. But duty believes in rationality and acts in constraints and opinions provided by our friends and relatives. In doing a job, we need to submerge in it with devotion, dedication, and extreme passion to be successful. Now, this is what normally you say the theme of the lesson, and the theme of the lesson, you understand nothing is impossible in the world, right? Okay, let us try to understand one more issue, that is Christy Brown's mother, which is the very important character in the lesson, and because of her, Christy Brown was able to write to prove that he is physically crippled, but mentally he is very sound. His intelligence works, his intelligentsia works, right? Now, this we will try to understand through this character. Christy Brown's mother was a brave lady. She was determined and proved that her son was not mentally a cripple. Despite the opinion of doctors and relatives, she took the case of Christy in her own hands and proved both doctors as well as relatives wrong, because relatives and doctors say that the child is both physically as well as mentally crippled. But she knows that the child is only physically crippled, but mentally the child is sound, and she proved it at the last. She refused to believe that her child was beyond cure. Right? Doctors say that the child is beyond cure, beyond saving, and beyond hope. Right? She could never believe that her son was stupid. The people say, the doctors say, as well as the relatives, that her son, Christy Brown, is basically an imbecile or a stupid. But she could never believe that, right? She was a very caring and affectionate mother. She neither neglected him nor kept him in isolation. Generally, what happens when you have number of children in your home, and among them one is considered to be a bizarre one or a strange one, or in the text what is called a queer one, right? What happens when relatives or visitors visit that particular house? The child is kept in the back, in a room which is considered to be a back room somewhere at the back, and he is kept in an isolation. But she neither neglected him nor kept him in isolation. Her relatives and friends told her that she should treat Christy kindly and sympathetically, but not seriously. But being a determined mother, she proved that her son was not mentally a cripple. She helped him to scroll the letter A, which was for him a road to a new world. Okay, boys and girls, I am leaving you here. We'll meet you in the next lesson, in the next lecture. Till then, goodbye. Wish you all the best.